Hello, I'm Eve Jackson in Paris. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, farewell to the matriarch of R&B with the mother of all voices. Tributes are paid to Etta James. Her music's called Angry, Beautiful and Hopeful. The Swiss singer Anna Aaron is in the studio. And a brief history of Stephen Hawking. A new exhibition celebrates the life of the world-famous physicist. First, her career spanned almost 6 decades. Since the death of the R&B singer Etta James, tributes have been flooding in. Let's look back now at the life of a legend who influenced everyone from the Rolling Stones and Janis Joplin to Tina Turner and Beyoncé.
Come along.
Etta James's voice could be silken, and it could be raw. With her platinum hair and cat's eyes, she cultivated a bad girl image, an image that matched her hell-raising reputation. James was born James Etta Hawkins in Los Angeles in 1938. She started cutting records in the 1950s, but her career took off in the 60s. She had a string of R&B hits after signing with the legendary Chess Records. Beyoncé Knowles played her in the 2008 film that loosely told the story of the label.
She was strong and confident and always Etta James.
Her voice was unmistakable on tracks like I Just Want to Make Love to You and I'd Rather Go Blind, but James will be most remembered for her signature song. Her extraordinary gifts didn't shield her from a life of struggle. She blamed drug addictions for almost destroying her career, but she was a survivor. Though unwell, she released her final critically acclaimed album just last year. Etta James died days before her 74th birthday. The voice lives on.
I'm joined in the studio by Anna Aaron. A dreadful loss for the music world, that.
Yes, it's sad, but I mean, we didn't lose her music, so that's kind of a comfort.
Now, let's talk about your first album. It's called Dogs in Spirit. Quite a peculiar name. What are you referring to?
It comes from the phrase, blessed are the poor in spirit, and I use dogs as a symbol for poverty, so I just replaced poor with dogs.
Why do you see dogs as being poor?
I think that probably it comes from seeing a lot of street dogs in the slums of Manila, because that's where I spent 2.5 years of my childhood with my parents. And I don't know, for me dogs were always kind of a symbol of being low and poor and broken.
Okay, well, let's have a listen to one of the tracks off the album. This is called Sea Monsters.
That disappeared when you walked into the room of my mind. This is the black I've been coughing up since I dived down to the lowest part. You walk the monsters in the sea, now they're coming after me. So lover, bring them to the shore, and we will listen as they soar.
Now, your lyrics are very literary and poetic. Are you influenced by literature and poetry?
I guess I am. I studied German literature for almost 4 years, so you probably can't fight the influence if you've read a lot of books and a lot of poetry. But it's just something that comes naturally. I don't really think about it.
And what about the biblical references? Religion, does that influence your music? Are you religious?
I think that if I would want to say if I'm religious or not, I would write about it in the lyrics, and obviously I don't. So I think that during the time when I wrote the lyrics for the record, I was taking a course about Jewish literature at university, and that influenced me a lot, especially the story of Samson and Delilah, which appears in the song The Drain Out. And I think that's kind of where the influence comes from.
And do you sing about your own experiences, your own life and loves, or is it all sort of mythical?
It's mythical, yeah. It's basically just imagination.
Because we hear about monsters and sirens, I mean, lots of sort of Greek mythology almost. Is that something you've always been fascinated by?
No, not really. I think that the sea monsters and the siren, that's a coincidence. I didn't really realize that it refers to Greek mythology until after the record came out and people started talking to me about it.
And you grew up in England, Asia and New Zealand. I mean, how has that affected sort of your view on the world and your art?
I mean, it was a really long time ago, and I was a kid when we were there, but I think, as I said before, what probably influenced me the most was the confrontation with extreme poverty and living in a world that is so different from ours, from the world we live in Europe and the culture and everything.
You've just released your first album. What's next on the cards for you?
We're starting to tour in France in spring, and at the moment I'm just recording new demos and rehearsing with my group. So, yeah, that's it.
Anna, well, good luck. Thanks for coming in and speaking to us.
Thank you.
Here on France Macabre. Just a reminder for you guys at home, the album is called Dogs in Spirit. Next, Donatella Versace has staged her first haute couture show in 8 years in Paris. The glittering return to the catwalk was the culmination of an extraordinary 12 months for the label, with models dressed as glamorous gladiators dripping with gold and lace. Versace has received huge exposure recently from celebrity fans such as Lady Gaga to the runway success of the H&M collaboration. Next, one of the world's oldest copies of the Quran is on display at the British Museum in London. It's the start of the exhibition exploring Hajj, the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. Let's take a look.
The star at the British Museum today is a copy of the Quran, one of the world's oldest manuscripts of the Muslim holy book.
This is a huge privilege to have this Quran in the exhibition. It's very, very early, one of the earliest known from the 8th century, and it was copied in probably Mecca or Medina in the Hijaz. And it's in a beautiful style of script, which is one of the earliest forms of Arabic script called ma'il, which literally means sloping. And when you look at it, you really can see that it's sloping from the top, from the right down to the left.
The exhibition called Hajj, a journey to the heart of Islam, is dedicated to the pilgrimage to Mecca, a sacred duty for Muslims able to make the trip.
It's for the first time that the history of Hajj has been shown visually, because most of the people who go to Hajj, they go there for the religious and the spiritual purposes. Here you see objects that was made to cover the holiest place in Islam, which is Mecca and Medina.
These artifacts document the perilous journey to Saudi Arabia, souvenirs brought back from Hajj, and gifts offered to the sanctuary, including the key to the Kaaba.
It's a key that was offered to the Kaaba. This was a very symbolic object. So the rulers who had control over the holy places, whether they were the Mamluk Sultans or the Ottomans, they would give gifts every year to the holy places.
An estimated 6 million pilgrims travel to Mecca every year, including 3 million during Hajj.
Next, personal photographs, scientific trophies and toys from Stephen Hawking's private office are on show in an exhibition celebrating his 70th birthday. The astrophysicist has achieved universal fame for his theories on black holes, despite being paralysed by motor neuron disease throughout most of his life. There's lots on show at London's Science Museum, and not just academic accolades.
Right here we have the script from when Hawking appeared in The Simpsons in an episode called They Saved Lisa's Brain, in which he had to save Lisa Simpson from evil members of the intellectual community. And again, this is he worked very closely with the producers of The Simpsons in this. Again, we've had conversations with his daughter about it. Apparently he was very up for everything that they wanted to do. He's very playful, and he's very up for different ways of communicating his work.
Now, just before we go, let's head to Paris's Pompidou Centre. The latest exhibition there is about the relationship between dance and modern art. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, you can follow me on Twitter at Evening in Paris. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Dig.
Chills that you spill up my back keep me filled with satisfaction when we're done. Satisfaction of what's to come. I couldn't ask for another. No, I couldn't ask for another.
Oh, that's right.
Your groove, I do deeply dig. No walls, only the bridge. My supper dish, my crocketesh wish.